Welcome to Fathers and Family. This is our second episode in the series. I'm Pete Saunders, and we have Dr. Percy Ricketts with us. Dr. Ricketts, I keep on forgetting to talk about the disclosure, just to let folks know that this is not a therapy session. Can you speak to that for me?
No, this is not counseling. I don't do teletherapy. This information, this dialogue that we're having is for information purposes only. It's not in any way mental health counseling.
Okay, so on this episode, we'll be talking about the effects of fatherlessness, especially as it relates to adults, who have grown up without a father, and how can they overcome the effects of not having a father figure in their lives, especially if they're on the path of becoming parents themselves.
This is a very complex subject, Pete. I, for one, though, I must tell you up front that I don't believe in the concept of fatherlessness, as some people like to call it.
Okay.
Everybody has a father, whether he is involved or not involved. So maybe what we're talking about is father involvement.
Okay.
And so there are many reasons why fathers might not be involved, numerous reasons. And so I think if an individual, man or woman, was raised without a father, what he or she should try to do is to break the cycle. So when he or she has children, what their goal should be is to have the father of the children more involved in their lives, because they would know what the effects are from personal experiences. Mm-hmm. One of the first things that I would suggest that parents seek to do: break the cycle of fathers' non-involvement.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so I can use my own example. My father has 7 kids, and he was never close with either one of us. And so at one point he tried to reconnect, and it wasn't going too well because he was forcing the issue. That's how I'm putting it. What advice can you give to a father who's trying to reconnect with his kids, his grown kids?
Well, what I wouldn't even start there. Where I would start is by saying to mothers in particular, because I'm sure, I don't know if you're the first child, but what happens is that sometimes women have children with men who have a history of not being in their children's lives. Mm-hmm. And so whatever you start with, that's what you have. So mothers should say, I want a man who's caring, who has a vested interest in his children's life, rather than get some guy because he's good looking or he has money or whatever the situation might be, have children with him and then expect him to be a good father. It doesn't quite work like that. So start right. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Start right, because whatever you start with, that's what you have. Mm. I would also say that's for mothers, but with fathers, I would also say that they must recognize that it takes two. It takes a mother and a father to make a child. Therefore, it takes a mother and a father to raise a child. As I said in the last episode that we had last week, one of the things that we must also recognize is that men cannot get pregnant. They don't give birth or breastfeed. But once a child is born, their role is extremely crucial. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we do know, I don't know if I said this last week, is that father's involvement with his children is a better predictor of how they are going to fare in life emotionally than the relationship that the child has with the mother.
Wow. So what do you say to this man now? If he's trying, he wasn't doing an okay job, he wasn't involved before. What do you say to him? What advice can you give him?
I would say that, and certainly it depends on whether the facilities, the resources are available for him to maybe do some parenting classes. I know this is tricky, particularly in some areas of the Caribbean where some resources might not be available. But a lot of churches, a lot of governmental and non-governmental organizations do offer parenting classes. Some hospitals, for example, have daddy and baby classes and that kind of stuff. and there are social workers, there are therapists who
Hmm.
might be willing to pass on some parenting skills. If you don't know, say you don't know.
That's right.
What I see happening is that people just fall in love. They have children, and then they just take it from there. There's no system in place to really care for the children. So
Uh,
I think fathers should recognize their deficiencies and really reach out to get some help before the child comes.
Right. So that's awesome, Dr. Ricketts, because I mean, what I'm hearing you saying is for those who have grown up without a father, it's the responsibility is there to break the cycle with their kids, and for those fathers who weren't involved, it's also their responsibility to get the resources and the tools that they need to go out and find it, and to immerse themselves into that if they're truly interested in reconnecting with their kids.
Absolutely. At least if you weren't exposed to the theoretical aspects of parenting, you're going to get the practical exposure, but you can mess up. I
Right.
mean, when we have our children, we don't get any toll-free number or a manual that tells you when something goes wrong, you go to page so and so. But at least if you know what to expect, if you're exposed to the theoretical aspects
Hmm.
of how to do it right, then when problems arise, it wouldn't be a crisis situation per se. And this is very important as well because it's not just a relationship standpoint with mothers and fathers. A lot of children are abused
Wow.
by parents who don't know how to care for them properly. Abuse and neglect of children is a major problem that we have in many cultures.
Hmm. Well, Dr. Ricketts, thank you for joining us again. Next episode, we're going to be talking about how to talk to your kids about divorce. And we want to invite all our viewers to actually drop us a line. Let us know how you feel about the show. If you have questions or comments, share that with us as well. And, we'll do our best to address some of them at the beginning of each show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.